Hello everyone, I am going to check the live stream to make sure that everything's working. It looks like we're getting ready to start. It is 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and I hope this is working. Okay, it is. So I'm going to check my audio real quick. Okay, there we go. And I am also keeping an eye on the live chat to make sure that I'm here to answer any of the questions. Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome. My name is Mary Mays. I'm a meteorologist for weather and radar. If you haven't downloaded our app yet, we've got a link in the bio, or actually a link also in the description. And basically we have Tropical Storm Ophelia. And this just formed within the last hour. The hurricane hunters were flying through, and there was enough data to officially declare this as a tropical storm, which means it has a warm core. It's got that kind of structure that you would have with the tropical system. And there was some questions about whether this was going to be in... Oh, hi, Federico! So there were some questions about whether this was going to be a tropical storm or a post-tropical storm, and really the difference is whether or not it's completely tropical, whether it has that warm core structure. And I know that sounds a little confusing, but basically the way these two systems work, with a post-tropical system, it's kind of like a mix between, a normal storm system and a tropical system. And it really has to do with the thunderstorms at the center and the wind field and a lot of different things, but mainly just kind of the structure. And what we're looking at is a tropical storm. So we have winds sustained at 60 miles per hour. Remember, hurricane status is at 74 miles per hour. So this is a tropical storm, and it's moving north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. And we've been keeping a close eye on this all day long throughout the entire week, because it doesn't matter whether or not it is post-tropical or tropical. We ended up with a tropical storm, but either way, we were going to see some pretty big impacts from this. And you're already seeing the winds really picking up along the coast. So we have a tropical storm, stays tropical storm, at least it's predicted to stay a tropical storm as it makes landfall tomorrow morning on the North Carolina coast. And with this system, you might see a little bit of strengthening, but I don't expect it, and it's not predicted to become a Category 1 hurricane. That being said, tropical storm force winds can certainly do their fair share of damage. So, batten down the hatches, especially if you're along the North Carolina coast. Notice that this storm, the track, takes it all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. So let's watch this and move it forward on our weather radar. So you see this system pushing forward, and then it's moving onshore tomorrow morning, and it's continuing up along the mid-Atlantic. So if you're in the mid-Atlantic, it is going to be a very soggy, not so fun weekend. What we're looking at with this system is a tropical storm warnings all up the Carolina coast there, North Carolina, up into the mid-Atlantic. And what we're going to see is some storm surge as well. Tropical storm force winds are pretty likely in North Carolina. Into the mid-Atlantic, you're going to see some. This is going to be gusty enough to send your lawn furniture over to your neighbors, maybe even down the street. So make sure you go ahead and, just go ahead and put stuff into your garage or tie it down. You guys know the drill. You know what to do, especially in this area. It is hurricane prone, it is storm prone, but we want to make sure that you are alert. And even this afternoon is when we're going to start to see the arrival of those tropical storm force winds. So let's take a look at the wind radar. And if you don't have the Weather and Radar app, this is the best when it comes to wind, especially because you can see current wind gusts and also what's expected later today. And what we're seeing as we head into the afternoon today, notice Wilmington Island, we're already seeing gusts at 45 miles an hour. And you can really zoom in and see what's happening. And the Outer Banks already getting really gusty winds here into the 40s. It is already getting really active along the coast too. I know that there's been some folks out around Cape Hatteras, the Outer Banks surfing, but the waves are getting pretty big. We're starting to see some coastal erosion, and there's going to be up to about 5 feet of storm surge as well, and that's going to be wind driven. Notice how big the wind field is with this. It's pretty large. This is a large tropical storm. And it's not the most organized we've ever seen, but it's pretty powerful. You got a large wind field with this. And what we're going to see into the next couple of days is, well, this wind really gusting. So let's go a little bit later on today. This is 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Notice Greenville, Raleigh, you're starting to gust up toward 40 miles an hour. You're going to see 49 miles per hour, 50 mile per hour wind gust tomorrow along the Outer Banks into Greenville, North Carolina, up through even Raleigh's going to get quite a bit as well. And Charlotte is going to be a windy day for you folks, gusting up to about 30 miles an hour. And notice this wind field stretches all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. So DC, Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia Beach, it's going to be quite the day for you. And you see a lot of this action tomorrow in the morning through the day Saturday. Notice those gusts up to 50 miles an hour in Richmond. So it's going to be a really windy and wet and just kind of gross Saturday as well. And you've got gusts into the 40 mile per hour range in Philadelphia. And this kind of inclement weather is also going to be an issue as far north as New York City, even up into the northeast as the system continues to develop and kind of continue to move on. And kind of looking towards Sunday, it's onshore, it's kind of falling apart, but it's still wet, windy, and not so fun from New York up through Boston. Even into Maine, you're likely to see some impacts as we head into Monday even. It's just going to be soggy and gross. So this is what we're looking at right now. You got that pinwheel shape. It's a healthy enough looking storm. It is really big for a tropical storm, I would say, but we're seeing that center of rotation. We're seeing the wind with this already picking up. And I want to point out that with a storm like this, you're likely to see tornadoes as well. Would it hit Indiana? Looks like you're going to be in good shape in Indiana. I don't think you're going to see any impacts really from this storm in Indiana. However, there are other systems out there, including severe weather, that could be moving a little closer. I'll take a quick look right now at the Storm Prediction Center, and we do have a article that you can look at for some stronger storms. Looks like Indiana, you're probably going to miss out on a few stronger storms on Sunday, which is good news. And today and tomorrow you're looking pretty good. And in the long term, I would just keep an eye out. But you're not going to see any impacts from Ophelia in Indiana. So thank you for asking. Appreciate it. And so what we're looking at with this storm is, I would say the biggest impacts are going to be here where you have the storm surge. And you've got this in South Carolina all the way up to Surf City. So this is the South Santee River to Surf City, 1 to 3 feet. That could cause some minor flooding, especially along roads in this area. And notice there's a lot of yellow here. That shows up to 5 feet of surge. So this is from Surf City up through Chincoteague. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but notice the Potomac, the lower Potomac, lower Chesapeake Bay. All of these inlets are really surge prone because the water is getting pushed by the wind and it's just going pretty far in. So 2 to 4 feet, 2 to 5 feet, that could easily go across roads. We're starting to see that already, in fact. But some homes and businesses may end up flooded. That's definitely a concern with this. And I know up to 5 feet of surge, that might not sound all that impressive, but I'm 5 feet tall, and if there was water my height coming toward me, I'd be a little concerned. So some folks have had to evacuate, especially in those really prone coastal locations. If you're under an alert to leave, I hope you are getting out. Even 5 feet of surge can be dangerous. Even 2 or 3 feet can be very dangerous. We want to make sure that you're staying safe. In addition to that, we could see some localized flooding as well. This is going to be a pretty big rain producer. So we've talked about wind. We've talked about the surge. Let's talk about the rain. So notice some folks could get close to 10 inches along the North Carolina coast. I would say 4 to 6 is going to be more likely, but up to 4 is going to be the case a little further inland in North Carolina into Virginia, all the way up through the mid-Atlantic, even into the Northeast, Boston. It's going to be very wet for you folks into the weekend. New York, Philadelphia. You know, I'm answering some comments here, but yes, this is from Galaxy VR. It is such an active season, and one of the reasons for that is that we've had really warm sea surface temperatures. So anything that comes through, any wave, has had a pretty good chance to develop because of that. And thankfully, a lot of the storms we've seen recently have been what we call fish storms, in that they kind of curve out and don't really impact anyone. But Ophelia, unfortunately, is going to have some impacts along the Carolina coastline and into the mid-Atlantic. But yeah, we're going to see a ton of rain with this. We do have the risk for flash flooding, especially from Wilmington up through Cape Hatteras, and that's a moderate risk of flash flooding. So that means there's a pretty good chance you're going to have some flooded roads, some flooded businesses and homes. Remember, turn around, don't drown. And if you live in a flood-prone area, please, please make sure that you stay weather aware. So Sebastian is asking, will this hit Tennessee, West Virginia, and Kentucky? You're really not going to see any impacts from this particular storm. Now, that doesn't mean other weather isn't going to be in play, but Ophelia is going to be more of an impact along the North Carolina area up through the mid-Atlantic. Mainly in the coastal regions, we'll see the biggest impacts, but further inland, we're concerned about flooding, especially, and some wind damage. So that's what we're looking at here. Ophelia is once again a tropical storm, wind sustained at 60 miles per hour. And to kind of better answer some of your questions about who's going to see what, we'll take a kind of a look at the big picture and the forecast going into the next couple of days. So this is what's happening right now. You've got Ophelia here, and we've had a system out here, a low pressure system and a front that's been causing some severe weather along the plains, and you're going to get kind of a soaking here into the Midwest. Let's walk ourselves forward. So here's Ophelia moving along North Carolina, mainly into the Carolinas, having those big impacts up through the mid-Atlantic. And then the northern plains into the Midwest, getting some thunderstorms as that low pressure here continues to spin and move east. And that's a system that's come out of Canada, so it has brought some cooler weather to the Northwest. And as we head into the next couple of days, you'll see that rain kind of pushing east into the Minnesota region. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. So basically up here through the Ohio Valley into the Tennessee Valley, we're kind of in between those systems for much of today into the first half of tomorrow. And then as we continue into Sunday, you'll start to see some thunderstorms continuing to develop there, pushing into, Missouri, into Iowa. Going into Sunday, you'll start to see some storms possibly reaching the Tennessee line, but it looks relatively dry once again for the Ohio Valley up through Wisconsin, also into the Tennessee Valley and the Southeast. So what you'll see into the Northeast on Sunday is Ophelia, or the remnants of Ophelia by that point. And then what you'll see along the plains into the Midwest, stretching down into portions of Arklatex, so Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, you got a little bit of storm action. And then things will get a little bit more active for the Southeast. Looks like a decaying front there on Monday. But I would say for, Tennessee, portions of Kentucky, up through Virginia, looking pretty good. And then things are going to be improving for the mid-Atlantic by that point. So there's a couple systems that we're keeping a close eye on. That is mainly what we're looking at. And yeah, I would say right now the main focus is on Ophelia. We are going to have coverage tomorrow. We'll have a live blog going if necessary and more live forecasts. And now is the time to really be paying attention, battening down the hatches. You still got a little bit of time left. And what I want you to know is that if you get any pictures or video and it's safe to send us, go ahead and send it to us through Twitter, through Facebook, Instagram, or info@weatherandradar.com if you want to email it. And download the Weather and Radar app, because we send you alerts straight to your phone when you have active, possibly dangerous weather in your community. And also, if it's just a normal day, it's a great app because it tells you everything you need to know. You've got hour by hour forecast. You'll know the temperature, sky conditions, wind, everything you need, and it's easy to understand. And we have the latest weather news always up to date in the app as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay safe and take care, and we'll have another one of these going tomorrow. So thank you for joining in, and yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic time and a fantastic weekend. Talk to y'all later.